Swifty, your outdoor school coordinator, and I'm here today at Talking Water Gardens in Albany, Oregon. We're also here today with our friend Willow Joe.
Hi there, everybody.
So, Willow Joe, what kind of habitats are here at Talking Water Gardens?
Well, Sarah, we have a few different kinds of habitat at the Talking Water Gardens. You'll see areas where there's just open water, and that's like a pond kind of a habitat. There will be other areas where there's plants like cattails and bulrush growing up out of the water, and that's emergent wetlands. And then areas where there's tall trees, that's more like riparian habitat.
Well, with such a cool habitat here, what kind of animals do you expect to see?
Yeah, you'll expect to see some common animals like ducks and red-tailed hawks out here, but you'll also see really cool things like mink and river otter out in the pond areas.
Very cool, and that's something we're going to look at today here using track plates and trail cameras. Like Willow Joe shared, there's a lot of cool wildlife here at Talking Water Gardens. But you know what? I want to find out what else could we find here at this awesome park. So what we're going to do is we're going to use two methods of collecting evidence of animals here. The first one is a track plate. So here are some of the materials we're going to be using, and this is going to collect animal track prints, and I'm going to show you how we set this up and what it looks like in a little bit. Second, we have trail cameras, and now these are activated by motion. So if an animal walks by this trail camera, it's going to snap a picture or video of the animal. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set this up, and then we're going to share with you all the footage that we record, and you can help us identify the animals with our track plates and with our trail cameras. So you might be wondering, why is it important to get evidence of other animals that might be living here at Talking Water Gardens? So think about that for a minute. Why do you think it's important to know what animals live here? Did you come up with some ideas? I bet you came up with some really good ones. Some of the ones I came up with are that it's good to know what animals are here because they can indicate the health of an ecosystem. Like in this park, if we have a lot of different animals here, that means we have a really great environment for wildlife and for us. What's also cool is just to know what wildlife live here, because some people, maybe traveling to Oregon, want to see an animal specifically. And with this kind of information, we can share with the public where they can go see different species of animals. Now you might be wondering, why are we using track plates and trail cameras? Can't we just go search the animals out or wait for them to show up? Unfortunately, some animals are really sensitive, and so they don't like to be around humans. So if we're there, they're probably going to be hiding and we're not going to be able to see them. Or they're nocturnal, and I certainly do not want to stay up all night looking for different animals. I like my sleep. So what's great about track plates and trail cameras is we can leave them up overnight, and they're not going to harass the animals. We're not going to be there, and they can just go on doing what animals do. And so if we're lucky, we'll get some photos and videos of wildlife, and we'll also get some track prints which we can identify later. So let's get started and set up these two methods of getting animal evidence. To set up a track plate, we're going to use 3 pieces of corrugated plastic, and we're also going to use some contact paper. So contact paper has one sticky side and one non-sticky side, and so we're going to put the sticky side up to catch those track prints. So I've already attached it, and we're just going to peel it out. And then, just in case, I'm going to tape it down. Next, we're going to add our bait to the board, and we're going to put it at the far end. And this is the goal of the animal, is to reach the bait. So for this one, we're going to use cat food. And if you have a cat and if you ever used canned cat food, it's pretty smelly. And so animals will be attracted to the smell, and maybe it'll get their tummies rumbling, and they'll want to come check out our track plate and our bait. We also have another type of bait that will set out on our other track plates, and that is peanut butter and oats, because peanut butter also has a strong smell, and not all animals want to eat cat food. Some of them would rather eat oats or nuts, that type of thing. So now, as you can see, we've switched places, and so I had to find a good location for our track plate. I decided we're gonna push it up against these rocks. And so the rocks will block the animal from entering right where the bait is. So we'll make sure they will cross the sticky contact paper before they get to their food. So the next step is we have this non-toxic powder paint, and we're just going to sprinkle a little bit on the other end. So as the animal walks across this powder, they're going to then walk across the contact paper, and because it's sticky side up, it's going to collect that powder from the paw prints and record the animal's paw prints while they eat their cat food. And that's how we're going to collect these tracks. Next, we don't want to just leave this board out uncovered, because anything could come and get our bait, and then we might not get our track prints. So we have these two other boards to create a shelter for our track plate. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a triangle shape and just tape these pieces together. Now that we have a shelter over our track plate, we have one final step, and that's to disguise it. So we're going to camouflage our track plate so it doesn't stand out as much to the wildlife. Wow, look how disguised we made this track plate. It's very cool. You can hardly see the plastic or the duct tape on it. And so hopefully, maybe tonight, we'll get an animal to come in, eat our bait, and leave some tracks for us. Next, we're gonna set up a trail camera near the track plate we just set up. So I just wanted to go over what a trail cam looks like. So first, we have the camera lens. Below that, we have the sensor, and this is what's going to pick up any animal movement. And then we have the infrared lighting, and so this is going to help us see the pictures that it takes in the dark. But before we attach it to a tree, we want to check the insides. So here we have the batteries, and we're using rechargeable batteries, and it takes 8. You always want to make sure all your batteries are charged. Then I'm going to go to the setup, and during setup is when we set our camera. Do we want to take pictures? Do we want to take video? What sensitivity level do we want? Do we want really high sensitivity, so anything that moves, even a blade of grass, it'll take a picture? Or do we want low sensitivity, where something near the camera moves and it would take a picture? For this, since we're close to the track plate, I'm going to put it on a low setting, and we're going to record pictures and video. Alright, so the camera's on, we've set it up, and it's facing towards our track plate. So hopefully we'll catch some animal movement tonight. Welcome back! So now we've left our track plates out overnight and the trail camera. So I'm gonna unveil our track plate to see what visited last night. Look at these really cool tracks we got. So what I did was I took that sticky clear paper and put it over some white paper so we could get a better look at the tracks. So as you can see, we have a whole trail of tracks on this edge, and we have a bunch of scattered ones. And if you look, these are some really small prints. They're like the size of my fingertip. You can also see we have the base pad and then 4 little toes on this track. I wonder what made that. What we can use to identify these tracks is the wildlife guide that's in your kit. So now that we've captured some animal tracks, and we've also collected some footage from our trail cameras, What you can do now is you're going to be able to pull out your own copies of the animal tracks we've collected to identify them using that wildlife guide. This will be such a big help for all of us for identifying what animal evidence we've collected.